It's been a long time, hasn't it? Well, I promised I would do this, and, well, I'm living up to my promise. Here it is, my review of Deadpool 2. And of course, because I am doing a recap of this movie, the following movie that I'm reviewing will contain spoilers. Of course, I'm sure you knew that. Anyway, let's get to the review. Deadpool 2 is a superhero comedy that was released in 2018 and is the second installment in the Deadpool franchise. Starring Ryan Reynolds reprising his role as the titular antihero, the film is co-written by Reynolds himself and alongside returning writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. Whereas Tim Miller directed the first film, Deadpool 2 this time around is directed by former stuntman and John Wick co-director David Leitch. The film begins taking place 2 years after the first film. Wade Wilson, played again by Reynolds, continues being a mercenary for hire as his alter ego Deadpool, and he has an anniversary date with Vanessa Carlyle, played again by Morena Baccarin. The two of them are ready to start a family together when suddenly, some thugs break in and Wade is unable to stop one thug from shooting and killing Vanessa. Vanessa's death causes Wade to wallow in depressive guilt and self-hatred. Not even Blind Alan Weasel, played again by Leslie Uggams and TJ Miller respectively, can convince Wade to move on from Vanessa's death. Wade attempts to off himself multiple times in darkly hilarious ways, really leaning into the black comedy aspect of the series. But Wade is unable to succeed in dying because of his healing factor, and rewatching this immediately makes me think of what Logan said in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Motherfucker, I wish I could say you die alone, but it's one of God's best jokes that you can't die, except it's on all of us!
After seeing a vision of Vanessa in the afterlife telling him that his heart is not in the right place, Wade comes to and is recovered by Colossus, voiced again by Stefan Kapicic. Wade is brought to the X-Mansion and is offered a chance to join the X-Men. We even see Negasonic Teenage Warhead played again by Brianna Hildebrand and Negasonic's girlfriend Yukio, who this time is played by Shioli Kutsana. Negasonic's same-sex relationship with Yukio is the first openly LGBTQ relationship ever depicted in a Marvel movie, and I really do like how the Deadpool films have always positively leaned in for those part of the LGBTQ community, whether it's pansexuality or lesbianism. Don't forget, Wade got fucked with a dildo by Vanessa in the first film. He got pegged, and he's pansexual. Anyway, back on subject. Wade reluctantly agrees to join the X-Men, and so he becomes an X-Men trainee. For Wade's first mission, they have to de-escalate a standoff between authorities and the wrath of an unstable mutant known as Russell Collins at an orphanage owned by Essex Corporation. Because it's Essex, you know this orphanage is anti-mutant, and Russell, a pyrokinetic mutant, hates it. Russell is played by New Zealand actor Julian Dennison, and in the comics, Russell is a superhero known as Fire Fist. Russell made his comic book debut in the first issue of X-Factor in 1986, created by Bob Layton and Jackson Gweiss. The headmaster of the orphanage, who I just realized is nameless throughout the film, is played by Eddie Marsan. Anyway, Wade is able to help Colossus and Negasonic depower and take down Russell with a power-dampening collar, which basically suppresses your mutant powers. But Wade realizes that Russell has been abused in the orphanage, and then he kills one of Russell's abusers. Well, Colossus don't like that one bit. This results in Wade and Russell also being imprisoned and arrested, with Wade also having a power-dampening collar put on him. Wade and Russell end up in a prison for mutant criminals known as the Icebox. Meanwhile, a cybernetically enhanced mutant from the future comes to 2018. This mutant is Nathan Christopher Charles Summers, otherwise known as Cable, played by Josh Brolin. Why did Cable travel to the past? To kill Russell! Why does Cable want to kill Russell? I'll tell you later. And to quote the 15th Doctor, you'll find out. But let's talk about Cable and the history he has with Deadpool in the comics. Now, Nathan Summers made his official comic book debut in Uncanny X-Men number 201 back in 1986, and was created by Chris Claremont and Rick Leonardi. And in case the surname Summers sounds familiar, that's because Nathan is the biological son of Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, and Madeline Pryor, the latter being a clone of Jean Grey. Aren't comics weird sometimes? Nathan would make his official debut as Cable in The New Mutants number 87 in 1990, created by Louise Simonson and Rob Liefeld. 11 issues later, Deadpool would make his official comic book debut in issue number 98 of The New Mutants by Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza on December 11th, 1990, even though that specific comic was cover dated on February of 1991. Cable and Deadpool both debuted in The New Mutants and have been on-again, off-again partners and were even members of the X-Force. Now, let's get back on topic. Wade is having an unpleasant time in the icebox, especially since the power dampening collar that I mentioned has turned off Wade's healing factor, which is making him die from cancer. Yeah, I don't blame him for being miserable either. If I was in Wade's exact position, I would constantly be begging everyone to please let me die. Suddenly, an explosion occurs and Cable comes in! He poo-poos dubstep, takes away Wade's token that Vanessa gifted him before she died, and also, during the chaos, Wade's power dampening collar breaks off, reviving his healing factor. Wade fights Cable, and during the ensuing chaos, Wade denies even caring for Russell, which the kid overhears. Russell will remember that. Wade throws Cable and himself out of the prison, and Wade has another near-death experience, seeing Vanessa in another vision. Vanessa's spirit tells Wade to get on up and save Russell from Cable, which he complies with. When he comes alive again, Wade and Weasel recruit other mutants to form a new team to rescue Russell. The team consists of the following candidates: Bedlam, played by Terry Crews, who has the power to disrupt electronic devices as well as electrical currents in the human brain. 9-9! Zeitgeist, played by Bill Skarsgård, who has the power of acidic spit. Vanisher, a mutant who has the ability to turn invisible, who's briefly played by Brad Pitt. Shatterstar, an alien who claims he has the power to be better than everyone in every conceivable manner, who was portrayed by Louis Tan. Domino, played by Zazie Beetz, a mutant with the ability to alter and manipulate probability around, therefore always being lucky. And last but not least, Peter Wisdom, played by Rob Delaney. What's this Ted Lasso lookalike superpower? Actually, Peter doesn't have any superpowers. He just saw the ad and wanted to join for fun. And why not? You got Terry from Brooklyn Nine-Nine! Together, Wade and these unlikely heroes form a new team known as X-Force. The X-Force get in a chopper to find Russell and rescue him. Russell is currently in a truck with other mutant prisoners being transferred to another prison. The X-Force parachutes out of the chopper and things go to shit quickly. Bedlam gets hit by a bus, Shatterstar gets chopped by helicopter blades, flawless victory, fatality! Vanisher gets caught in electric lines and gets electrocuted to death. Zeitgeist gets caught into a wood chipper feet first, and when Peter tries to save this crow, Zeitgeist accidentally vomits acid on Peter and accidentally kills him. And then Zeitgeist is dragged into the wood chipper and mangled so horribly, I don't think he'll be floating like all the kids Pennywise has collected in the sewers. The only X-Force member who managed to survive was Domino, and I guess now I can talk about the history of the character and how Vanessa Carlyle connects to her. In the comics, Vanessa Carlyle is a shape-shifting mutant known as Copycat, and you could say she's a knockoff of Mystique. In the comics, Vanessa was in love with Wade before he became Deadpool. Now, Deadpool wasn't the only character to make their official debut in New Mutants number 98. Domino also made her comic book debut in the same issue, but eventually it turned out Vanessa was impersonating Domino, and the real Domino made her first full appearance in X-Force number 11. It's interesting how a lot of these characters in Deadpool 2 had their roots originate in New Mutants and X-Force. Deadpool gets into the convoy truck to rescue Russell, but then Cable comes in and so Wade and Cable fight each other. While they're fighting, Russell convinces fellow inmate Juggernaut to help him kill the abusive headmaster. Well, Juggernaut sees Russell as a friend and he gladly destroys the convoy truck. When Wade gets out of the debris, he sees the Juggernaut in all his massive glory. Interestingly enough, Juggernaut this time is played through CGI and is voiced by Ryan Reynolds as well. Juggernaut then literally rips Wade in half. Then Juggy and Russell make like a tree and leave. Wade goes back to Blind Al's to heal and grow his legs back. While he recuperates, Cable walks in to make Wade an offer he can't refuse. Cable explains to Wade that if Russell succeeds in killing the headmaster, Russell's gonna develop a taste for killing and would become an evil serial killer. In the future, an adult Russell would kill Cable's wife and their daughter Hope, which is why Cable went back in time to try and kill Russell. The future mutant offers Wade to have him and Domino help him stop Russell. Wade agrees to help Cable on the condition that he try to talk Russell out of killing the headmaster, without deadly force. Cable reluctantly agrees. After Wade grows his legs back, Dopinder, played again by Karan Soni, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, drives Wade, Cable, and Domino to where they need to go. But before they do that, Wade makes a pit stop at the Xavier Institute to convince Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead to help them. But Colossus refuses to help Wade because he hates Wade's murderous ways. In other words, Wade broke Colossus's heart. And so, Wade, Cable, and Domino get to the orphanage to stop Russell. But then, Juggernaut attacks! Deadpool, Cable, and Domino try to stop him, but don't you know who he is? He's the Juggernaut, bitch! You can't stop this motherfucker! While they're dealing with that one-sided fight, Russell pursues the abusive headmaster. Suddenly, Colossus comes in and fights Juggernaut! While that's going on, Negasonic and Yukio join Domino in rescuing the other orphans. Wade is able to find Russell and he tries to convince him to not kill the headmaster. But Russell is so filled with rage he refuses to listen to Wade's reasoning. Because he sees Russell as a lost cause, Cable decides to shoot at the pyrokinetic mutant. Wade then puts on the power dampening collar, turning off his healing factor and gets in the way, getting shot by Cable and sacrificing himself to save Russell. Wade dies and gets reunited with Vanessa in the afterlife. And Wade's actions positively impact the future. Russell decides to not kill the abusive headmaster, which in turn saves Cable's family. They're alive and well. Cable is so positively moved by Wade's heroic sacrifice that he decides to travel back in time a few minutes into the past to put Vanessa's game token on Wade's chest to save his life, even though it comes at the cost of Cable going back to the future to reunite with his wife and daughter. Wade survives in the new timeline, and Cable decides to stay in the present so that he can help make a better future for his wife and daughter. Suddenly, the headmaster gets hilariously killed by Dopinder. Serves him right. And so these mutant heroes leave the orphanage and walk off into the sunset. But that's not all! In a mid-credits scene, Negasonic and Yukio fix Cable's time-traveling watch for Wade. Deadpool then uses the time-traveling watch to save Vanessa, kill his Weapon 11 counterpart from X-Men Origins, Wolverine, save Peter from getting killed, and then kill a fictionalized version of Ryan Reynolds before he got the chance to star in Green Lantern. And that's how Deadpool 2 ends. So, before I get into the nitty-gritty of my main review, let me address the elephant in the room. After Deadpool 2 was released in theaters, 20th Century Fox demanded a PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2 be made. Reynolds and the rest of the crew agreed to do so, and so, Once Upon a Deadpool, the PG-13 cut of Deadpool was released in December of 2018. The PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2 contains little violence and very small use of bad words, basically neutering everything great about Deadpool 2. Because, let's be realistic, if the first Deadpool movie was neutered into a PG-13 rating, the film wouldn't have been as successful as it was. There's a reason Ryan Reynolds fought hard to make sure the first Deadpool movie got an R rating. Once Upon a Deadpool and Venom 2 are examples of why you should never neuter characters like Deadpool and Carnage into PG-13 movies. Once Upon a Deadpool is passable, but you're better off watching the theatrical cut or even the super duper cut to Deadpool 2. Now that I got that out of the way, on to the review! Now, Deadpool 2 was released right after Logan, and Logan set the bar high on how you can do a great X-Men movie. It's not going to be easy making a film after Logan. To compare Deadpool 2 to Logan would be like comparing The Amazing Spider-Man to Across the Spider-Verse. Yes, we know that Across the Spider-Verse is superior in many ways, and Logan is also superior in many ways. It's an unfair advantage. But on its own as a standalone sequel, it's enjoyable. There are some sequels that suffer from being nothing more than a lousy cash grab and are basically just a remake of the first film instead of an effort into continuing a story. Look no further than the Hangover sequels that are basically, oh no, it happened again, copy, paste, rinse and repeat. Deadpool 2 is thankfully not a copy and paste sequel, even if it does bring back a few jokes, but thankfully those work. Ryan Reynolds and returning screenwriters Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick put in effort to continue Wade Wilson's story. The film is definitely an improvement over the first movie. Instead of being formulaic, the movie decides to continue telling a story while showing that there is a serious and tragic side to Wade Wilson as he tries to find himself. Ryan Reynolds gives 100% as Deadpool and does an amazing job. He's funny and he is able to also add some serious drama to the character of Wade Wilson, giving us a reason to feel bad for him. I really like how in this movie, Deadpool draws the line at killing children and shows great development with his character as he tries to be a positive role model for Russell. He may not be a superhero, but Deadpool is an anti-hero with some standards. Gillian Dennison does a great job portraying the troubled mutant Russell, and you really want him to turn a positive leaf. Let's also discuss the elephant in the room about Domino. I'm well aware that Domino has a very distinct appearance in the comics, and Zazie Beetz looks absolutely nothing like the character in the comics. But I think what Domino lacks in an accurate appearance, Zazie Beetz makes up for with a good performance. She's perfectly confident, has great comedic timing against Reynolds, and is all around likable. And let's also talk about Cable. I think Deadpool 2 did a great job portraying Cable. He's the perfect straight man for Wade's silliness, and Josh Brolin finds a way to make Cable look intimidating but also gives him enough humanity too. 2018 was one hell of a year for Josh Brolin, as not only did he play this iconic X-Men character, but he also got the privilege of playing Thanos in Avengers Infinity War. There's no denying that Brolin did a great job playing the almost sympathetic villain in Avengers 3. But personally, I think Josh Brolin played Cable better. He's actually more heroic, there's more humanity in him, and we actually sympathize with Cable because he just wants to see his family again. He's the best minor antagonist. And speaking of antagonists, it's a great surprise to see Juggernaut. It's no secret that Fox butchered Juggernaut's first appearance in X-Men The Last Stand. Juggernaut in Deadpool 2 is a massive improvement. His appearance is perfect, and even if he's just a supporting villain, it was great to see Juggernaut. Do I think maybe the time traveling to save Vanessa was a cop-out? Maybe. Maybe she shouldn't have been killed off and should have become copycat like in the comics. But either way, Deadpool 2 is one of the best X-Men sequels out there. It improves on the first film with great direction on David Leitch's end, and has great action, perfect comedy, and a mature heart that's perfect for just about anyone. Anyway, I give Deadpool 2 the full 5 stars. It's pretty much a good improvement over the first film, and it's very enjoyable, and it's also a very mature film. It's definitely one of my favorites, and of course, the best version of Deadpool 2 is most definitely the Super Duper cut, which is unrated. You can find it on Blu-ray or on digital. Of course, I would recommend that you pretty much get it on Blu-ray. That way you have a piece of physical media. Deadpool 2 would be the last live-action X-Men film that would be produced and distributed by 20th Century Fox independently. On March 20th, 2019, the Walt Disney Company would purchase 21st Century Fox, and in doing so, 20th Century Fox, its various sister companies, and intellectual properties all became part of Disney's library. And with that, the movie rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four reverted back to Disney's company, Marvel Studios. The first live-action X-Men movies to be released after Disney bought Fox were Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, which were both mediocre at best. I haven't seen New Mutants, and it'll be a while until I decide to watch that, but I did see Dark Phoenix, and what a disappointing way to end the X-Men prequels, I tell you what. The acquisition of Fox also meant that a planned X-Force spin-off was eventually cancelled. Whether Deadpool, Domino, and Cable would have returned in the X-Force spin-off, I'm not sure. We wouldn't see Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool again until the Marvel Studios collaboration of the successful Deadpool and Wolverine. This was nice. I had a lot of fun reviewing the Wolverine films and the Deadpool films. But anyway, until I get to my review of Hulk vs. Wolverine, I'm Tony the Happy Nerd. Thanks for listening. Don't have a good day. Have a great day.